Hi, welcome to the third lecture on the series on group actions. The second lecture was a little theory heavy. I hope you went through and understood because that's very much needed. Okay, right. Now, in this lecture, we shall concentrate more on examples. In the first lecture, we also concentrated on examples, but in all the examples, we are trying to compute the orbits. In the second lecture, we introduced the notion of stabilizer subgroup or isotropy at a point, and this lecture we will concentrate on identifying the stabilizer subgroups of lot of actions and little more than that. Okay, welcome aboard. Let us share the screen. Our first example was R acting on R2 where T sends xy to x plus ty. We have seen the orbit of the point AB is the line y equal to b. Right? Now what is the stabilizer for this action? Stabilizer of AB is set of points T, the group element T, so that T acting on xy should be equal to xy. That is, A plus TB must be equal to AB. This happens only if only T is 0. Therefore, we find out the stabilizer of P is the trivial subgroup 0. This is a typical case whenever some kind of group acting on group kind of thing. We'll come to that in a minute. Okay. And just before that, if I forget, there is also a very common notation. Stabilizer G at P is also denoted by GP. G at P. Okay. This is another common notation in algebra textbooks, so you should be aware of that. Okay. Now let's look at the second example. Remember, we have the circle group G, which is complex numbers of modulus 1. It acts on this. And we found out the orbits are concentric circles. And so on, right? Center at the origin, right? Now we want to look at the stabilizer. Let's fix a complex number Z in C, and I want to look at GZ, which is same as stabilizer of Z. And this is a set of, okay, maybe I should have used a W. Okay, this is a set of complex numbers in the group, so that ZW equal to W. So this is singleton 1, right? Where the 1 is the identity element of this group. Is that clear? Because these are all complex numbers, therefore W is 0. Okay, assuming W is non-zero, right? Okay, if W is non-zero, then I can cancel W. Therefore, I will get Z equal to identity. Suppose W is 0, then what happens? Suppose W is 0. What is the stabilizer? All complex numbers Z in G, so that Z0 equal to 0, which is 0. Therefore, it is all of G. Okay. All right. A third example, slightly, let's come back to an abstract example. Okay. Let H be a subgroup of G. Then we know H acts on G via left action. What does it mean? H, alpha of HG. I'm just using this so that you don't, this is H times G. This is the group. H and G are elements of G, therefore it makes the product. Okay, right. Now again we know the orbits. Orbits are right cosets. So, okay, that thing HG. This is the orbit of G. Okay, good. Now what is the stabilizer? So fix a point A in G. I want to know what is the stabilizer of A. So notice that I should actually denote by H of A if you want, not G. Okay, because H is the group which acts on the set X. x equal to g. This is set of h in h such that h dot a equal to a, right? But notice that we are in a group situation. H a, they are all elements of the group G, and therefore h a equal to a by cancellation law multiplied by h inverse I get, okay, h a equal to a multiplying by a inverse rather, that is h a inverse equal to a inverse equal to identity, that means h equal to identity. Therefore the stabilizer is the trivial subgroup identity. Okay, right. Now let's look at slightly more interesting example. Okay, suppose let the additive group, this is your group G, it acts on x equal to r. What is the action? The action is you start with any m in z and t in x, that is r, and m dot t, this is action. Okay, don't confuse this multiplication or anything. This is t plus m. That is I am translating. This is my 0. This is t. If suppose m is positive, then t plus m may be here. If m is negative, it may be here. Okay, m negative. This is here, m positive. Okay. Therefore, what is the orbit? For example, orbit of 0 will be 0 plus m, as m varies over z, therefore it is z. Okay. What is orbit of 1? That is also z. Do you see that? That we already know, right, from the second lecture. If y belongs to orbit of x, then x belongs to orbit of y, or they are the same. Okay, right. Okay, now what is the stabilizer? So start with any point, fix t in R. What is the stabilizer of G t? This is set of all m in Z, so that t plus m must be equal to t, that means singleton 0. This is a trivial subgroup again. Are you getting bored? All of them are trivial subgroup, right? Yeah? Okay, let's wait and see. Things can go. Okay. Now, let us look at one more example. See, like in this is a special case of 4. Okay. Let it G equal to additive group of integers, H equal to okay all multiples of, let us say, n, where n is a natural number or integer. Any integer will do. Okay. This is a special case of 4. All right. Now what are the orbits? Orbits are, fix a k in Z, orbits will be k plus mz. mk as k varies over z. Oh, sorry. So what you want is orbit of k. What is orbit of k? It is m dot, okay, h is m, therefore mk dot, oh, there is an mk, so see, I am already fixed k, that's why I'm getting confused. Let me call it just x. Fix x in z, I want orbit of x. Therefore orbit of x is x plus h. That is same as x plus mk, where k varies over z. So this is x plus mk as k varies over z. You understand this? So the first thing you should notice, which you already know, since h is a subgroup, any orbit has to be the coset. Therefore this is nothing other than the coset x plus h. But notice that if you look at x plus mk as k varies, you can see I have x. Okay. Then what do I do? X plus k, x plus 2k, x plus 3k, x minus k, x minus 2k, x minus. Therefore, this is nothing other than arithmetic. progression, two-sided. Okay, two-sided arithmetic progression. Okay, what is the common difference? K, both ways. You understand? Right. Okay, these are the examples now. Okay, now before I go further, I want to look at a new word. This is not used in group theory most often, but it is used in topology and geometry and analysis, harmonic analysis, etc. The word is transversal. Notice that if G acts on X, okay, then let O be an orbit. Okay, O be an orbit of G in X. This is a subset of G, right? So a transversal is a set, okay, T, a subset T of X is a transversal. See, transverse meaning it's just going across. That's all it means. T is a transversal if T intersection any orbit is a singleton. What does that mean? It simply means T is a collection of representative. Okay, unique representatives. Representatives of orbits. From each orbit, you fix only one element. Okay, that's what we call as an representative, right? So it is a collection of orbits. All right. Okay. So if I think of, let me just give a picture, but we will actually look at some examples. So suppose this is my X. Okay. Okay. These are my orbits. Okay. All these are orbits. Okay. A transversal, therefore, is something like this. You see that this is a unique representative in this orbit. This is a unique representative in this orbit. This is a unique representative in this orbit. This is a unique representative. So that is what so this is a transversal. The basic idea here is, see, you can always choose a representative by axiom of choice if necessary. If it's a finite collection, you don't have to worry about. If it's infinite collection, if there are infinite number of orbits, that you can choose one element, exactly one element from each of the orbit, may require axiom of choice. Anyway, right? It will exist. But the point is, in some of the cases where there is a lot more structure, okay, either algebraic or geometric or topological structure, I can choose representatives in such a way that the transversal has lot of, it gives me a lot of intuition. Okay, let us look at the first case. Okay, I'll quickly go through. Now, what are the orbits? We know orbits are given by lines like this, right? Orbits are going to be, these are the lines. These are all the orbits, right? Now, in each of the orbit, I have to choose one representative. So I can choose representative here, representative here, representative here. But notice that each representative is determined, they have the constant y coordinate that fixes the orbit. Therefore, obvious transversal for me will be the y-axis, right? For example, 1, the transversal will be, for example, 1 transversal. Yeah, obvious, you can take anything, it doesn't matter. Transversal will be y-axis. You can also take the y equal to x line. Okay. So this will also cut all these things exactly at one point. Okay. Transversals are not unique. Okay, you can choose any. Okay. But the better thing will be to choose something which is easier for us to handle. Okay. Now let's look at the second example. Now what are the orbits here? Orbits are singleton origin, otherwise all concentric circles. So again, I can choose a point here, I can choose a point here, I can choose this, like that. Okay, for something else I can choose them. But notice that once these are all concentric circles, the center is fixed. Now look, okay, any orbit is a circle. Therefore, circle is determined by two data. What are the data? The center and the radius. Center is always common. Therefore, to determine this orbit, namely the circle, what do I need? I need only radius. Therefore, I can take, yes, the transversal to be on the x-axis the radius. Okay, this is the radius, right? Therefore, for the second case, second example, I can take transversal to be 0 infinity, which correspond to radius. This correspond to y coordinate of the orbit. You see that there is some geometry. Okay, now let's look at the third example. Okay, in this example, the coset is this, then there is nothing like an obvious choice. See, if my coset is, let's say, h times identity, then I can choose E to B. But if you say, okay, so suppose A is not in H, and look at this coset, it may also be HB, but which choose, which representative I choose, A or B? There is no natural choice. If there is a lot more structure, I may be able to choose. Now there is nothing. It's just an abstract group. I have no idea. Now let's come back to this example. All right. Now what are the orbits? We have seen the orbits. Orbits are take any point and equidistant. You understood? All right. Now can you think of a good transversal for that? What is that I have to do? From each of these things, I have to choose a unique representative. Yeah. Right. Any orbit is also from T plus M, where T is a real number. Right. So in example 4, M3, no, good choice or natural choice. In example 4, let's look at, suppose T is a real number, then the orbit consists of T plus M, where M is an integer. Now, if you learned your analysis well, now you will understand if I am here 0 and this is my T, okay, T I am writing positive, but it need not be, and so on, negative side, T minus M, etc. Right? All right. Can you think of an RBS representative? M is an integer, therefore I can subtract, let us say something like 5.5. Okay, my T. Right. So if I select, if I choose M to be minus 5, I'll be in half T. Therefore, what do you know is, from analysis, you know there is a greatest integer M such that M is less than or equal to T, less than M plus 1. Okay, there is a unique M so that this happens. Right. Therefore, if I take T minus M, that is minus M will be 0, less than or equal to T minus M, less than 1. Okay. Notice that this is also in the orbit. Therefore, you, as a unique choice of this orbit, I can choose T minus M. That means for any T, I can write as S, where 0 is less than or equal to S, less than 1. Do you understand this? Take some time. Okay. That means the transversal is this set. Closed at 0, open at 1. Okay, the transversal. For this action. Okay. This is special case of 3. Now, we said in this case of 3, in the case of 3, there is no good choice, right? But if I have something more information about 3, I can get a good choice. Let us look at that example. 3 revisited, where now my G is, let us say, Z, and H is 5 times Z. Just for concreteness sake, but it could be any natural number you can take. N equal to 1 is trivial, so I am not taking. Okay, right. Now, what are the orbits? Orbits are of the form some integer m, okay, plus 5 times z. How does it look like? It looks like I have m plus 5, m minus 5, and so on. You understand? Now when does an element n, not n, let us say, when does an element L belong to this orbit? L belong to this orbit if and only if that is its a coset. Therefore, if only if L minus m is 5z. Now does it remind you of what is happening? L belong to this orbit 5z, that is the coset of m, if and only if L is congruent to m mod 5. Right? It's divisible by 5. Therefore, that means it's a coset. Do you accept it? Now comes the fun. Right? Now, divisional algorithm tells me any m I can write as q times 5 plus r, where 0 less than or equal to r less than 4. Therefore, notice that q5, that is 5 times q, that also in the orbit of m plus 5z. Right? Therefore, in each thing, I have a unique representative I can choose, the remainder r. Where r is less than or equal to r less than 4. Do you understand this? That means, therefore, the number of orbits, see, group G is infinite, H is also infinite, but the number of orbits is finite. What are the orbits? They are the orbits of 0, orbits of 1, and orbit of 4. These are the only 5 orbits. This is what you call in 0 bar, 1 bar, 4 bar. Notice that each is an arithmetic progression both sides. The common difference is 5. The same thing is true for any n. Okay. So just because I have more information about the subgroups and subgroup, I have a very good transversal. What are the transversal for this? The transversal for this is for 3 with z and 5z, or 3 with nz is 0, 1 up to n minus 1. This is the good transversal. Have you understood? Okay. I think I have spoken a lot of time. I forgot to give usual pause review. Proceed. Okay. Right. Now let's look at some more examples to understand stabilizer. Okay. Now let G acts on G. Let G act on G via conjugation action. All of you remember? So what is A dot X? It is AX A inverse. Whereas this is the group product. This is the group action. This is the group product. Okay. Now we know what is orbit. Orbit of X is collection of all elements AX A inverse as A varies over G. That is what is you call it conjugacy class from your group theory, right? Conjugacy class of X. This is collection of all AX A inverse. Is it okay? Good. Right. Now I want to understand, when is this? Okay, let me ask. When is this orbit singleton? We had already seen that, just to be sure. It's a singleton. Remember, in any orbit, X must be there. Why? Because when I take A equal to identity, it will be there, right? When it's a singleton, meaning it is equal to X. That means AX A inverse must be equal to X. That means AX must be equal to X times A, right? This simply means for each X, this must happen. For each A in G, this must happen. This means what? X commutes with each and every element of the group. That means X must be in the center of G. Okay, this we had already seen. What we want interested now, what I'm interested in is stabilizer of an element X. So what is this? This is set of all group elements A in G, so that A dot X equal to X. That is A X, A inverse must be equal to X. This is same as saying AX equal to XA. That is, what does this mean? So when does an element of the group A belong to the stabilizer? If and only AX equal to XA. That means A commutes with X. That is, consists of all elements. Okay, set of all elements in G commuting with X. You know a word for that in group theory. What is that? Yes, it is centralizer of G in A. Sometimes you also call it G of A. Okay, centralizer. Okay, the stabilizer in this case is a centralizer. This is just a name. Let us look at one more example. Now let G be a group, H be collection of subgroups. Collection of subgroups H of G. Now I let G act on H via the action. Okay, A dot H. H is a subgroup in this family H. This by definition, it's not among left coset A H A inverse. Okay, you have to check this in action. Okay. You have to check whether this is an action. Okay. Now I want to know. Okay, all right. Let me just before going further. When is orbit of H is a singleton? Remember, as usual, the orbit of H will contain H. Therefore, if it is a singleton, that means it must be H only. When does this happen? Go back to the definition. What are the elements in the orbit? They are of the form AH A inverse, where A is some element in G. So what do I want? AH A inverse must be H. What does that mean? For all A, I want AH A inverse equal to A. What do you know about H then? Yes, that means H is a normal subgroup. I don't know whether this is a notation, it's a normal subgroup. Okay, the orbit is a singleton, if only if it's a normal subgroup. Once you had understood, the next thing is easy. Now HP arbitrary. Now what do I want? I want to know the stabilizer of the group H. So what does that mean? I want the set of all A such that AH A inverse equal to A. See, now you are concentrating on A in G such that AH A inverse equal to H. That is set of all elements G. We know it's a subgroup. Do you recognize what this is? This is what you call normalizer of H in G. So pause, review, then proceed. Now let's look at an example, a concrete example for 6. Okay, special case of 6. Okay. Now G is Sn. It acts on G via conjugation. This requires your knowledge about symmetry group. Okay. If you are uncomfortable, you can skip it, but I advise you to go and read it again and understand that. Now, okay. Now let me take the simplest case. Let me assume n is greater than or equal to 2 so that I avoid triviality, etc. Suppose I take 1, 2 is a transposition. This is an element of the group G. Therefore, what are the orbits? Let us call it okay x. This is my, I'm considering as a set. What is the orbit of x with respect to this group? Again, this sigma x, sigma inverse, so sigma varies over Sn. Right? How many of you know this? Have you computed? This is collection of a transposition sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma n, Sn. And hence the orbit is all transpositions. I said transitions, I meant transpositions. That is all 2 cycles. More generally, suppose I take the simplest cycle 1 to R, okay, 1 less than equal, let us assume 1 strictly less than R, strictly less than N also, okay. Now this is my X. Now orbit of X will be all R cycles, because sigma X, sigma inverse will be sigma of 1, the cycle sigma 1, and sigma 2, sigma R. This is the R cycle. Okay. Please check that. If you have not learned these things, it's a good time for you to go back and review. Right? Okay. So we know what are the orbits in this case. Okay. Now let's look at another example. Let G equal to Sn, X equal to Rn. Right? Now what do I want? What do I want? So let us write X as ordered n tuple x1, x2, xn, an element of Rn, and sigma be a permutation Sn. I want to say sigma acts on X. What is the definition? It acts, the sigma acts on the indices, that is x of sigma 1, x of sigma 2, and x of sigma n. For example, if sigma is a transposition 1, 2, then sigma dot x will be x2, x1, x3, and so on, xn. These will be left fixed, whereas x1 and x2 are interchange, flipped. Okay. Right. Now let's look at this. You can check this as a group action. Okay, because when tau acts on that, how will it act? It will be sigma 1, this will act on tau of sigma 1, tau of sigma 2, which is tau sigma, right? Okay, that's okay. At least in this case, I am right. Okay, right. Now, what we want to know is a stabilizer of some special element. Suppose my x, I want to look at x equal to, let us say 1 comma 1 r times, and then x r plus 1 xn, where this set 1 x r plus 1 to xn are all these elements are distinct. All these are distinct. Therefore, there are n minus r plus 1. Okay, you understand this? First r, it keeps repeating. I don't have to really do that. I can simply say some r coordinates are fixed, but I think it's better to stick the simpler example so that we will understand what is happening. Right? Okay. Now I want to know the stabilizer of x with respect to the group. When does sigma dot x equal to x? Right? Okay. Now sigma dot x will be x sigma 1 and x sigma r, and after that x sigma r plus 1, etc. x sigma n. This should be equal to x1, x2, xr, xn. Yeah. When are they equal? If and only if sigma 1 equal to, remember, these are all, this is 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, r times after that xr plus 1. You understand? So I want to look at for sigma in Sn, when is sigma dot x is equal to x? Okay. Suppose it happens, then these two are equal. These n tuples are equal. When are they equal? This must be equal. This must be equal to xr plus 1. This sigma again equal to this. That means, remember, these are all distinct. You understand? Therefore, the only way out will be sigma r plus 1. Okay. Sigma j must be equal to j if j is greater than equal to r plus 1. They cannot change. But on the other hand, x sigma 1, x sigma r, they have to be 1, 1, 1. Therefore, this sigma 1, sigma r can be anything. That is, what do I get? Please pay attention. Okay, this sigma x sigma 1, I want it to be 1, but it could be anything. Therefore, if sigma is something like, okay, 1 to r is something like sigma 1, sigma r, and r plus 1 onwards, r plus 1, and j is j, n is n. That is, the sigma is actually is a permutation of 1 to r alone. Notice that if sigma, this is okay, this permits only the first r symbols, then it does not matter. Sigma 1 will also be 1, sigma r also will be 1. You understand that? Therefore, each such sigma will have the property sigma dot x equal to x. Conversely, if sigma dot x equal to x, look at this, equate, that means these fellows must be equal, and these are all distinct. Therefore, there is no way. This xr plus 1 must be x sigma r plus 1 must be xr plus 1. Okay. This can it be any other j for j greater than or equal to r plus 1, different from r plus 1? No, because xr plus 1, xr plus 2, xn, they are all distinct. So the only way out is it has to be xr plus 1. You understand? Whereas here, there is no way. It could be x1 maybe x3 and xr maybe x1. Anything can happen. So it could be permutation. Therefore, what did I find? So stabilizer of such an element is isomorphic to SR, but I can actually say something better. Okay, it is set of all sigma n, Sn, so that sigma permutes 1 to r, but sigma j is j for j greater than or equal to r plus 1. Okay. It is as good as saying I can think of it as a permutation of the first r symbol. That's why I call it sigma r. Now, what is the advantage of this? So, if x is of the special type, and these are all distinct, the remaining elements are all distinct, then we found out stabilizer subgroup of x is isomorphic to SR. Okay. Now again you remember, now you can ask how many elements are there in the orbit. Now I know the answer. Do you remember in the second lecture we said there is a bijection between G to the stabilizer Gx. I am writing stabilizer now in this notation, Gx to orbit of x. Right? Namely, a Gx went into a dot x. Okay, this is a bijection. Right? Therefore, the number of elements in this orbit is nothing other than number of elements in Sn modulo Sr. But then this we know. This is same as index of Sr. This is n factorial by r factorial. Right? That's it. Okay. I hope this is enough for today. Please go through this. I am sorry for this goofing, just like that I started doing. So I got minutes. Okay, right. Let's come back to that later. If necessary, I think of something. Okay, so pause, review, proceed. So these are the few examples where we also looked at the stabilizers of Bruce in a very concrete situation. We also learn how to look for a nice looking transversal, that is a unique set of representatives for the orbits. Okay, this will become to useful when you go for higher studies. Okay, right. So let us stop here. Please review. In the next lecture, we will need a lot more linear algebra. Okay, and that will be very, very interesting. Wait, we'll meet again.